No training.
Are you okay,
Now you
Blake?
do.
Yay.
Are we okay?
We're good.
Do we have Deb?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to do a little explaining as to why you see something different here. This is my last year as the mayor, or my last year of my term. And since Al and Gina are city employees and Carter is a contracted employee, I wanted the public, to be able to see their elected officials better. Usually Mike will be here, but because he's contagious, we moved him over to so I don't catch whatever he's got. And Bob's already got it, so we're good to go. So.
Watch out, Deb.
So I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented. You're gonna have to speak up. No more flagging of hand.
it's Bob's idea.
No,
Blame him.
no.
I'll second it.
You need to speak up because Gina's gonna have to take notes
Yeah, I
and know
can't see
who
you
it
guys as
is.
well.
She may not
You want to borrow
see
my
your
glasses now
hands
that I don't need
going
them?
up. She's busy taking notes. So we do have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion
Aye.
carried. Thank you, Tim. We do have microphones at each position, but you need to make sure that it's faced right towards you so that we do pick up your voice. Next is public comment, but nobody has signed in. And so we'll move right on to motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the December 12th, 2016 regular meeting and the December 19th, 2016 special council meeting, city finances for the month of December, fire department finances for the month of November, and River Edge Sports and Fitness Class B beer includes wine coolers, Class B native wine permit, and Sunday sales liquor license from February 3rd, 2017 through February 2nd, 2018. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Hill,
Second.
second by Vaughn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Aye.
Thanks, Tim. So, are you getting a delayed reaction here? All right.
Maybe.
Maybe I just need to make sure I wait till you say aye before I go on. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is approval of claims.
Make a motion.
Motion second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed-
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, we're going on to resolutions. First is, we have a lot of things on our agenda tonight because it's the first meeting of the year and we have to do certain things. So we need a motion to designate Bank Iowa as the official depository for the City of Independence. I
I
don't
have,
see anybody out there that wants to speak on it.
can I ask a question?
Yeah?
Yeah. When we say that they're the official depository, we spread money all around, or do they get the bulk of it, or how does it stand right now?
We spread the money, the CDs, the investment money does get spread around. The official depository is where we have our checkbook and our primary banking operation, if you will. But we do have our money spread around. Gina just went out, right before Christmas, I think it was, advertised that we had a CD that's coming due here in February, and
Yeah.
we took quotes from all the institutions in town on those funds.
That's the one where I gotta click back.
Farmers?
Farmers Bank was the highest rate,
Correct.
and so did we move that to them then, or what did we do?
We will be in a few days when it matures.
Okay. So being the official depository isn't really it's not a huge deal as far as having a lot of money sitting there?
Well, that's going to have all of our, general funds, so that's gonna be our main checking account, essentially, is what you're looking at for
So
your
when
deposit.
you approve claims, they all come out of
They all come out
Bank
of that,
Iowa bank
yeah.
account, yeah.
There will be a significant amount of money in and out of there, but it's not an investment
Right, no,
account.
I understand that. Okay. Okay.
Okay, I don't remember hearing a motion to approve Bank Iowa as our designated official depository.
Approved.
Motion from Vaughn, seconded by
I'll second it.
Brown. Roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion is carried. Next is annual designation of our city newspaper. And John had asked if he could come up and speak, representing your name and location, please.
John Klotzbach, residence or business or
Whichever you're talking for, I guess.
business, 900 Fifth Avenue Northeast, Independence. You have before you again, every year it comes up. I think we can talk about subscriptions, which are close and such, but it's not about stories and things like that. This is the public notices that come out of the office, and I think the thing I look at, the differential, is the Bolton Journal. You come out twice a week. You have twice the time to get things out, and we do appreciate the business because, unlike stories where we hope people enjoy reading them, the Legals is a business for us. So if you have any questions.
And the rates are actually regulated by the state, aren't they? As
They
far
have a
as what we
top rate.
pay?
Now,
Oh.
you can, I think generally across the board, a few exceptions, they charge pretty much what the going rate is. But that's something I've learned over the past years too. Is
Okay.
there is a set rate, and most papers charge that, but they don't have to charge the top rate.
Okay, okay. Steve, did you want to speak, since you're the other newspaper that's currently?
We've served the community here for the last 12 years. My wife and I have owned the newspaper for the last 12 years. I think the only people sitting in this room that have been here longer than me is Bob and maybe Carter.
Not quite, no.
But we do deliver the legal notices from the city hall here to more people in the community than any other newspaper does. And we always do our best job on delivering those. The legal notices, in addition to the printed copy, also go on our Facebook page and on our web page. And we're happy to serve the community in that way. I think that your forward thinking last year in choosing both newspapers to be legal notice newspapers allows you to encompass the most people in the community possible. And so with that, I would suggest that you choose both newspapers again this year.
Okay. I think we did have something as far as what the cost is to have both of them. Does that, because we did try it last year. And is there a difference?
Yeah,
in-
there's
The estimated,
was it 15?
it's estimated about 15,000.
15 grand.
I don't want to be absolute, because when we have some of our legal notices, it's not pertaining to one newspaper or the other. We tried to rotate those a little bit. But when we do the official publication of the minutes and what have you, that would be in both. And clearly, because both of our papers enjoy the opportunity to be compensated for their services, there is a cost associated with it.
I guess I personally think we made a good choice last year, because I think each paper reaches a different group of people. And I think we keep talking about getting the word out, talking to people, getting information out, and I think it just makes sense to use both papers, and I guess I'd like to make a motion that we simply continue having both the News and the Bulletin Journal serve as our official newspapers.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. Oh, Gina, we talked, let you say what motion they're voting on before you do the roll call.
It's a motion to designate the News and the Bulletin Journal as the official newspaper for the City of Independence.
Okay. Roll call then. Thank you.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion is carried. Next is on our mileage. The annual IRS mileage reimbursement rate has gone down to 53.5 cents per mile. It was 54, so there's a small change there. And I would need a motion to approve that change in our mileage rate.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Lennius, second by,
I'd second it.
second by Vaughn. Any other discussion?
Why did it go down?
I have no
Cost,
idea.
it fluctuates on, they're always lag a little bit behind, but it's always based upon fuel costs and this and that, so evidently the national average of fuel, gas prices went down a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it always fluctuates like that.
And we can't go below the IRS one. We can always go above it. We can't go below it, right?
No,
So
you
that's why.
can go wherever you want with that, but our policy, the council adopted policy is to match the IRS reimbursement.
Okay.
And so when we receive that notice that the rate is changing, that's what you have in front of you, is where they're going with that.
Okay.
If you chose to go 40 cents a mile, you'd have that option if you so chose.
I think we ought to do 40 cents a mile then. See how that works out for him. No, you got your motions, don't you?
Yes. Do you want to repeat the motion and then do a roll call, please?
Motion to approve the annual IRS mileage reimbursement rate of .535 per mile.
Okay. Roll call.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lennius.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is, we had an opening on our Board of Adjustments, and I talked to Cheryl Hand, who used to be on our council, and she agreed to take this position. So I need a motion to approve a resolution appointing Cheryl Hand as a member of the Board of Adjustments.
So moved.
Motion by Hill.
Was anyone else considered for that?
I know you had asked about that, but I found out that you're not, council members are not allowed to be on the Board of Adjustments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And I had nobody else that agreed to do it when I asked them, so. Cheryl was probably my first one, but I had nobody else showing interest in it.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion and second to, Gina, I'll let you do again. We're doing different things since we have this changes in seating and having Gina repeat what it is you're voting on, so there's no misunderstanding that way before we do the roll call.
A motion to approve a resolution appointing Cheryl Hand as a member of the Board of Adjustment.
And roll call, please.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lennius,
Yes.
and Vaughn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, we had 2 seats that were open on the Planning and Zoning Commission. One of them was Janet Bowles, and it's a 1-year term, and she did agree to go on it for another year. So I need a motion to approve a resolution appointing Janet Bowles to a 1-year term on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from
Did
Gr-
anybody else show interest in that?
I asked them first, and since they both agreed and it's only a 1-year term, I decided to put them forward.
Okay, thank you.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
I got a second.
Brown.
Okay.
The motion was
Go ahead.
to approve a resolution appointing Janet Bowles to a 1-year term on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lennius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Next one, the other one that was open, John Hoagland has been on it. It's a 1-year term, and when I asked him if he wanted to do it again, he agreed. So I need a motion to approve a resolution appointing John Hogan to a 1-year term on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Also move.
Motion by Brown,
Second.
second by Hill. Any discussion?
I think that is Haugland.
Yeah, it's Haugen.
Is it Hoagland? Is
It's
that
Haugen.
Haugen?
Haugen.
I probably misspell. I probably pronounce it different ways every time I say it.
So,
I don't know if
John
I've ever.
will-
I don't know if I've ever got it right, but John's not.
John
he's
will
not gotten
forgive you.
upset with me. Yeah,
He'll be
he's a
okay.
very forgiving person. So,
Probably heard worse.
Worse, yeah.
This is John Hogan. That's
So Gina, would you like to say what our motion is and then do roll call?
The motion is to approve resolution appointing John Haugen to a one-year term on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Roll
Hill,
call.
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution to request the assistance of the staff of the Iowa Northland Regional Council to do our GIS TIF map proposal.
We are required each year to submit a map of the TIF districts in the city with our TIF certification. Each year, we've submitted a map similar to what has been available. Currently, that map is not up to date. We did talk to the folks at the state this year. We made them aware that the map was lacking in some areas. We explained where. But at this point, it's really time for us to update the TIF map. The easiest way to do that is to create a GIS map. It's an electronic map that we can update more easily. However, they have to go through, I think it's about 40 pages or 45 pages of legal documents, legal descriptions to create the map. And that's the biggest concern here. They've started the process and taking a look at it. Intercog is a very cost-effective way for us to do that. What we're doing is paying for their time, their staff time. Most of it is their GIS professional, although if you look at the contract, they do have a provision in there for some legal counsel with their attorney on deciphering the legal descriptions as well. While this is a not-to-exceed contract of not more than $5,000 to create, it will be much less expensive and much easier to update as we move forward in keeping it current.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
I'll make a motion.
I did one question.
Okay.
The monthly progress payments, that's just part of the 5,000, right?
Correct.
It's not an ongoing every month retention fee or something to
No, correct. And it's up to 6 months, although in visiting with Brian Schoen at Intercog, they anticipate having this completed by the end of February. So I don't see it as being a long-term.
Okay.
They do give themselves 6 months, though, depending on how much time and how detailed it gets for them.
No, I just
Right,
that
but-
once we paid the 5,000, did we have an ongoing cost?
No.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. James, would you like to read what we're motioning on?
To approve a resolution to request the assistance of the staff of the Iowa Northland Regional Council for GIS TIF mapping.
Roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Okay, and under new business, our first item is the engineering service at the airport. I need a motion to approve an engineering agreement with Vulcan Mink Incorporated for the airport engineering service. That's who currently is doing it. And this is an annual renewal that we do?
That's correct.
Okay,
Is that the same company done the streets?
no.
Nope.
No, totally different.
Okay.
I think they've done a good job over the years. I think, we're moving into some different aspects now at the airport. We a few years ago said, let's step back and take a look at what's going on and what we need. And I think it would be kind of a waste of time to not have them continue in the process. So I'd make a motion to reappoint them.
Okay,
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second. Gina, would you like to read the motion, please?
To approve an engineering agreement with Bolton and Mink for the airport engineering services.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the nullifying of the WACA development agreement that we had. I think this has been discussed at workshop, and it might have even been at our last council meeting. That since they went out of business, I think we tried to see about collecting it back, and that went nowhere, and they have no requirement by law to return the money. They just
The-
were not able to make it as a business.
The situation that we have is the development agreement should, as a formality, be nullified. They haven't performed on it. We did send a formal request for repayment of the initial distribution that was sent to them. Can we collect on it? Probably. Will it cost us more than the distribution? No question that it would be more expensive to collect what we've already sent out than it would be to leave it. But and again, that will be a council decision. This simply nullifies the WACA development agreement because they have failed to perform on their side of the agreement.
I'll make a motion to nullify the agreement.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Gina, would you please read the motion?
To nullify the development agreement with Waka's Family Dining.
Okay, roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is OWI restitution program. Dustin brought this up at our workshop last week, where there is a way of doing, collecting up to $500 for the extra costs we have for anybody that is convicted of a OWI in order to help recoup some of that money back into the city count. And so I need a motion to approve the OWI restitution program implementation.
I'd make the motion. This, again, is the Public Safety Committee has talked about this several times, and Chief Dallenbach has done a lot of research and work on it, and it can be a very costly matter for the police department when they become involved in processing an OWI. So this is simply a tool to, as you said, recoup some of those costs that the city, through the police department, has when this happens.
And it doesn't mean it's always $500. It depends on what our cost is, and that's what we, up to the $500 is what we can get. Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Gina, please,
The motion is to approve the OWI restitution program implementation.
and a roll call.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius.
I can't get behind this one. No.
Vaughn,
No.
Okay, majority motion is carried. Next on the agenda is in regards to a traffic study on Highway 150 at 17th Street. We had several business people who went or came to the committee meeting and requested that we see if we can get a stop sign or stoplight and a turning lane and things to that degree out there. So I don't know if we want some discussion or a motion to conduct the traffic study on the highway 150.
I will note that I did visit with 3 separate individuals about the cost of the traffic study that you had asked about last Monday. Depending on what DOT is going to require, and that's a kind of a question mark because it's Highway 150. The range was anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. Again, all subject to how much detail will DOT ask for in the process. Everybody on the low end is pretty comfortable in that $5,000 to $7,000 range, and then everything would ratchet up depending on, again, DOT. I will tell you that Crawford Engineering has submitted a formal proposal on that at this point, but depending on how you want to handle that, the traffic warrants will decide whether or not DOT will approve a traffic signal there. The third lane or the turning lane is a little bit different. DOT is a little more flexible on that depending on how much the city's willing to pay. I also know that there is some potential grant funding to help with the signal should the warrants come to pass that it is justified. A lot of questions, a lot of issues that are out there, and you can't answer them short of having the engineering study. Part of it is a traffic count, but it goes much deeper than that. We did talk about a TEEP study, which would be funded by the state if it's granted. The last one that we did took about 2 years to get the results back. I'm not sure our business community that came to visit us were really excited about being quite that patient. And the TEEP study won't give you everything you need for this traffic study. It's just a good first step. So this would be the next step in addressing that request from the business community on that part of town.
Is this something that we're gonna have to, as we go through the budget process, where will this come from, or?
This will have to come out of our operating funds in in the street department or in the engineering side of things, yes. And again, not a huge chunk of change, but we have to find it.
It would just cut 10,000 out of Tim's budget.
We already did.
You're expecting that, weren't you, Tim? I think that's why he's here tonight.
Tim's the only one that smiled.
Let's see, what are you going to give up this year?
Okay.
I don't know, did I have a motion on this? I don't
Not yet.
I think
Okay.
so.
Motion for that?
Well, again, this is something we've talked about for a long time. I think ever since they redid the road out there, I've had people ask why on earth there was not a turning signal put in. I think we've always said, well, because the state initially said the traffic count didn't warrant it. One of the things that the traffic count, I think we have to keep in mind is it's not because from 3 to 5 o'clock, it's 10 cars deep waiting. They do it on a 24-hour basis to see if that count warrants the stoplight. Sometimes you wonder, they put stoplights in the middle of nowhere, how they get their traffic count to warrant it. But I think this would help the community to finally put an answer to the question on, is it even viable to look at doing this? We can't do it without the statistics.
And there is a new business on that corner that hasn't opened up yet, that is going to just add to that congestion or that
There were
traffic.
6 or 8 businesses represented that day that requested it too, so it isn't like something that's come up from one person or something, so
Okay.
they were quite adamant about having it done.
Right. And I won't single out any business because I think they were all pretty well represented
Right.
at that committee meeting.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Okay, Gina, if you'd like to read it again, please.
Did
Motion.
We don't
I
have a
don't
motion.
have any motion.
Oh, we don't have a motion, I'm sorry.
I
I'm
would
ahead of the
make
game.
motion.
I'll second it.
I knew I'd get it, not really, but, okay. Then if you-
Motion is to conduct a traffic study on Highway 150.
Now, does that have to have in there who we're accepting, since Crawford did that, or just the approval to do it?
Well, if we don't award it, we'll simply advertise and bring back to you those people that submit a proposal to do that.
I think we should do that.
So just agree to have the
Have
study,
the
but not?
study,
Okay,
but not award it.
okay. All righty. Now, can we have the vote?
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion is carried. Next is the streetlight synchronization and adjustment proposal. I know we've had a lot of questions or discussion about the lights at the bank corner and how they fit into the next light and things to that degree, and this became before the committee. So,
We have the option of simply making each of the lights last longer. That doesn't really optimize your traffic flow. The TEEP study did recommend adding anywhere from 8 to 15 seconds to the lights and, at each spot, but that doesn't synchronize them. We did have a study done to where the lights are synchronized all the way through town, and looking at peak traffic flows to the east in the morning and west in the afternoon, if you will, based on the school traffic. And we did get the traffic counts during those peak times. And so the study that we have is is very good, but when I visited with the folks at Indytel, it's their desire to help us out, but doing that level of programming is a little bit beyond what what they've done in the past. They did submit to their engineer a request for what it would take to program those lights. And there's a $985 programming fee and then a service call for them to actually come out and work on each light to set it up initially. Once they're set up, Indytel can help us maintain that, but they didn't feel like they were the right ones to do it initially. And again, it has 3 different settings, one for the morning, one for the afternoon, and then the bulk of the day or the other time. So they are synchronized, and again, optimizing the traffic flow.
So once we get them synchronized, then the light and power can make adjustments or change it because they'll be trained during that time and such to.
Right, and they felt very comfortable maintaining it, but it
Right.
was that initial programming which is a little bit unique for what they've done.
Okay.
They want $1,985 for each streetlight?
No, that is for the service call. That's to come out and do each
all.
streetlight. So
That would be all?
That's all of them.
Okay.
So the total cost is $2,930.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
That's all inclusive. I'll make the motion.
So, but I guess so when we're gonna add so many seconds to each one, and then that's gonna solve our problem?
Well, it's not just adding it to each one, but how do you move the traffic through? And our complaint has been the backup in the morning, for example, for the school traffic, and how do we move that traffic more efficiently? That's what started this conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, the lights are really synchronized right now. If you hit the lights right,
Right,
I mean, they're pretty well synchronized, and
but there's not adequate time for pedestrians to cross the street, in particular on the bank corner. For the most part, the average person cannot get across the street before that crosswalk changes.
so we're doing it as a safety measure for the bank corner, because otherwise it's gonna create you're gonna have the same amount of backup all the way through town.
You
So
will
it's
have
gonna,
some.
it's a safety thing, that we're talking about for the bank corner,
Yeah.
essentially.
That's,
Well, that's what
Because
started that, yes.
Yeah, but it's really, I think it's questionable whether it's gonna push traffic through town faster. I'm not sure I buy that, but
Well,
if it is in fact a safety issue at the bank corner, I mean, we're not talking about that much money to begin with. But I just want everybody to understand that if we do this, traffic isn't gonna fly through town. They're gonna sleep an extra 5 minutes before they take their kid to school. What?
don't think that's going to happen.
Okay,
You said something about 3 different times.
Correct.
So why would we have 3 different light sequences?
well, in the morning, most of your traffic is going from east to west. They'll lengthen those lights, moving to the west to allow more traffic to go through. That will speed it up, at least in theory, Mike. I'm not gonna sit here, I'm not an engineer, so I don't wanna talk about how much, but it does expedite that traffic, the majority of the traffic moving to the west. In the afternoon, it's coming back to the east, and again, those lights will be longer to expedite that traffic coming the opposite direction. And it's for that peak hour or 90 minutes, morning and afternoon. When you don't have that peak traffic, then it goes to a more uniform synchronization. And again, all those lights have to be synchronized at the same time, so you don't get that traffic backup. And it's the 2nd Street Southeast, the 2 corners on 150, 2nd Northeast, the one on 2nd Southwest by Bill's.
so we get all of those stoplights for $2,000,
Correct.
and then
And the majority of the cost is the service call, them actually coming out and working on the lights. That's the big ticket.
okay. Well, in effect, we're paying ourselves anyways, so.
No, this is a
We're paying
third,
this is a
no,
third
this is a
party?
third party
Oh,
at this
okay.
point.
Oh, okay.
What's their hourly rate on that?
I don't have their hourly rate. This is the proposal they submitted.
They left out that part?
Yeah, what I have is what you have in front of you. This is the hourly, this is the rate to come out and do the service call. and to program
So
it.
this could be the anvil that falls on our head, $400 an hour or something.
Well,
It's
I
a
will
recommendation
say
from
that
Light and Power.
Anytime you have somebody work on software, they got you over a barrel. I think Inditel's already said they don't feel qualified to make, this is a lot of programming here, and so it just,
It's a new Jesse James group, huh?
hey, if no one
Sounds
else
like a
does
pretty-
it, they charge you.
Sounds like a pretty reasonable rate for what they're doing, and
Really
with the
never thought of it
recommendation
this
from the
way.
light plant. I have a motion, but I don't think I heard a second.
I'll-
I'll second it. I don't know
Okay.
who made the motion.
I did.
Oh,
Just choose, Gina.
I don't care.
Write one of them down.
take it.
And then if you'd like to tell what the motion is for,
To approve the streetlight synchronization and adjustment proposal for service.
okay, and roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
No,
Grover,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes,
Okay, motion is carried. Next item is on the sidewalk street cutting pilot study. We discussed this at the workshop, and you have information attachments to your agenda.
For those of us that were sicklings,
This,
You have questions?
Precision Concrete Cutting gave us a proposal to do a pilot project on city sidewalks to show us the work that they do. They can come in and shave, not grind, but actually shave some of those trip and fall hazards that might otherwise cause trouble on the sidewalks. They can do it much cheaper, their sales pitch, not mine, than most solutions to deal with sidewalks. They recommend showing us what they can do on city sidewalks so we can see how cost-effective as well as, how quickly they are able to do it. This would be a good one, Denny, because the cost is more in line with what you'd appreciate. They're willing to come in and do it for free on a pilot
hard
project.
to argue with that, too.
Their average cost under a contract would be about $65 per fix, if you will, or per cut. They can come in and do each cut in the 10 to 15-minute range, although the salesman said they go faster than that. That's just the number that they use. At this point, I'm just asking for your blessing to let them come in, take a look at some of our sidewalks, city-owned sidewalks where we have issues. Let us show us what they can do. They don't only shave them down, but they make sure they all meet the ADA slope and rise requirements. So there's more than just coming in and, scraping it off.
Can I make the motion on that if it's free?
If you would like.
I just wanted to ask, is this because of our new downtown sidewalks, or is this for our citywide? or-
No, this is citywide. This would relate more back to our sidewalk project that Doug is working on, where he's walking each ward. Ultimately, what they would like to do is get a contract to go through each ward and do that for us. But the ones that can be cleaned up, they want to come in, measure them, identify them, and then fix them. And if we assess that cost back to the homeowner, if we pay it, they've done it both ways, that depending on how you do it. They're not talking about fixing sidewalks that need to be replaced. This is just the ones that have heaved or settled, so we can bring them back in line. It is not a cure-all. It won't fix every situation out there, but it does address a large majority of them. This also helps us, or could potentially help us, with ADA ramps, where the ramp has come down to the street, then the street has been overlaid, so there's a lip in there. Well, we can't have that, and there hasn't been a good way to come in and fix that. Well, they can come in and saw that off and get the slopes compliant, ADA compliant for us. Again, another significant cost savings if it works as well as what they advertise. This pilot project, and all I'm asking for tonight is your permission to do the pilot, let us see what it looks like, and go from there.
What do you think, Tim? Have you looked at the stuff?
I have, Cookie looked at all the sidewalks
Yeah.
and stuff.
I mean, I think obviously, where we are right now, doesn't hurt us any to try it. It sounds like a good Good idea.
I think we gotta let Denny make.
I think we should let Denny make it and second it.
I already did.
I think you ought to second it, too.
I don't think
Don't give him
he's
that
not allowed to do both.
Can't do that.
No. But any of the rest of you are open
I'll
to be able to
second it.
second it? Okay. We now have a motion and a second. Gina, if you'd like to read the motion, please.
To approve the sidewalk street cutting pilot study.
Okay, and roll call, please.
Hannah,
Deb?
Yes.
Okay.
Lennius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Are you able to hear us, Deb? Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is stormwater study.
Again, this is one of the council's priorities in our strategic planning, from our strategic planning session. The stormwater study, I recommend that we do a formal RFQ for engineering services to do that. I did include in your council packet a draft of what an RFQ with the criteria that I think you would be interested in should look like. But I think we should do a formal request for qualifications on engineering services for the stormwater study, and that would preserve all of our potential funding options, whether it be a state revolving loan fund, or this one doesn't really qualify for CDBG because it would affect a larger part of the city, but there are funds that could potentially be out there. That basically means that we would advertise and take RFQs from engineering firms, but you want to promote it, you can send it out there. The council will ultimately have to identify how they're going to select the firm, interviews, what have you.
We don't have a cost estimate at the beginning to kind of have a benchmark for what engineering firms would
Well,
charge?
yeah, it's going to depend on how extensive you go, what the scope is. If we look at just the northeast quadrant of town, that'll be different than if you take a look at a comprehensive stormwater study. We have had the most requests now that Second Street Southwest is, the stormwater utility is in there. The next critical one is the northeast corner of town. That's a very large area. It's basically the entire northeast section of town that is affected by that. If you do it citywide, just guessing at the conversations I've had, you could be in that $40,000 to $50,000 range, depending on how extensive and scope of the project. If you take just a quadrant, I don't know if it cuts it back that much, because every place that you look at stormwater, are we just pushing the issue down the road, or do we want to make sure that we actually deal with it comprehensively? It's not a small task. I'm not going to tell you it's a small project. It is not by any means.
So do we need to decide whether we're doing a stormwater study for the whole city, or specify this any more than the fact of approving to get quotes?
Well, I would suggest that we take a look at both options when we go through the selection process to find out which way do we want to go. But you're still going to have to select an engineering firm to do that study for us. And to be fair to the firms, their rates may vary, and their concepts of how to approach it are going to vary. I don't want to tell you the best solution. Like I said, I can tell you that it has to be comprehensive enough so we're not just kicking the can down the road, running the stormwater into somebody else's backyard and causing trouble for them. It has to actually address the issue that we're trying to fix.
Would this include 10th Street Northeast?
Yes. This would cover, I mean, really, if you're looking at the northeast section of town, it's going to cover everything from, well, wherever the drainage field is, but First Street East, north to city limits, and from, probably from the river east to city limits. I mean, I think you're looking at that whole section of town at a minimum, depending on where the water's flowing.
That section of town seems to be the Great Lakes when we have major rain.
Well, we've had requests from 10th Street, 12th Street, and the courthouse. So, you know, there's 3 people that have said, hey, we have to look at it because we have issues. And we do.
Is there any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion because I think it is really necessary. We get businesses that when we've got heavy rains down there, getting water in the office from the street.
I'm sure we got pedestrian, or citizens got water in their kitchens too, you know.
Yes, they do.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Gina, would you like to cover the motion?
To seek requests for quotes on the stormwater study.
And a roll call.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on the agenda is the street prioritization. Get my dentures up. And the same similar situation that we need to go for a engineer to do a study on this?
Well, in street prioritization, I think Councilman Lenius made a good comment. We can go out and look at streets and make decisions. I'd view this as being larger. The last time we did this, they actually, the firm selected actually did our street engineering for, what has it been, 3 years, 4 years, what have you. So I think it's more than just the prioritization. With the approval of the traffic study, you might roll all that into the same selection process, and you could do that, I think, very, very safely. Or you can keep them separate if you prefer to divide it out, but it's the same type of work. You're in the same classification of looking for somebody to come in and actually do the study for you.
I don't know, I would guess you'd be better off having it all together. I mean, you don't really know, but my gut tells me having them all together would be the way.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Is this meant, when you mentioned a few years ago where we had Iowa State and then I think it was Venstra
Veenstra and Kim?
and Kim,
Right.
they came back with a list of our worst or bad and not
Correct.
so bad. We're talking about redoing this whole process?
Short of bringing Iowa State back in, I'm not sure that we'll bring them back in to do their portion, but taking their information and putting that into where we're actually at with our streets. We've fixed some have deteriorated faster, others have held up better. I think what you're going to do is identify your prioritization of which ones are we going to try and address first as you go through the community. We can't do them all at one time. And so you need to identify which streets are we going to fix and what are we gaining from each of that as we plan it out.
So whoever you
I know-
have as an engineering firm will have that information from the state ISU thing to work off of.
Right.
As they start.
I know when we've talked about this in the past, we were hesitant to, change because you do lose continuity from year to year. And I understand that. But I just think that there was some pretty significant mistakes made this last year. And I would like to see us look at some different groups, or not to say that they couldn't be included in the process.
Right.
But I don't want to just go ahead with them as, because that you lose some continuity. I understand we'll have a little bit of an issue with that, but I think there was just too many mistakes.
Well, and I wasn't here for this, but as I understand it, the idea was after a couple of years for that continuity, that the city had made it clear that we were looking at opening it up
Okay.
again after a couple of years. This is a perfect time to do it. We really only have one fairly small street project that, I would say we're looking at potentially. Not that it's been adopted officially, but there's not much for street projects other than finishing what we have, taking a deep breath and looking at where do we go next. This is our year to take that deep breath.
Is there any further discussion? Then do I hear a motion?
I will. I'll
Motion.
make a motion.
Motion from Lenius. Second?
I'll second it.
Second with Hill.
For clarification, and we talked about it, but are we okay combining the street prioritization with the traffic study all under the engineering advertisement, if you will?
This is
That-
just to hire an engineer, is that correct?
Contract with an engineer
So
to,
we're gonna advertise for an engineer?
for an engineer to do our street prioritization and traffic study on
Yeah.
150.
We're not hiring one, we're advertising to
Right,
hire
to get quotes, and then you will still have to
one. Okay.
make that.
If we go through that selection process, which I'm still recommending, we'll advertise, we'll do the request for qualifications, have some selection criteria, and then the council will have to, whether it be interviews or however you decide you want to make that selection, it'll come back to you to make that final determination.
Okay.
So does the actual motion need to include both things, or just the fact of the streets for this one, since we've already approved the other part of it? Just how we're gonna go
Both
out?
have been approved. I just think that it makes sense to put the two together, and I just ask for your blessing on that as we're making the motion on this. I mean, as we're making the decision on this.
Okay,
Take an amendment to this last motion.
I think it should actually address the fact that we're going to combine them, yes.
Mike, would it be okay if I have your motion as a motion to seek requests for quotes for the street prioritization and Highway 150 traffic study?
It would be okay.
And that's consistent with your second, Bob?
is your second okay with that? Okay,
Then that would be our motion.
so everybody knows what we're voting on, and roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes,
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes,
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Next on the agenda is, again, for requests for quotes for the Southwest Water System Project.
Through our low to moderate income survey that we conducted last summer, we do have an area that is potentially eligible for Community Development Block Grant or CDBG funds. This one, you are required to go through a formal recruitment process or RFQ process. It is prescribed by the, at the federal level as to how we do that. And this is replacing water valves and water system improvements in the southwest side of town. We have to select the engineer, design the project, and then submit the grant application. Intercog, if you choose to do so, they will write the grant for us at no cost, and they only get paid if that grant gets funded, and their reimbursement comes as part of the grant proceeds. But this project, again, is a continuation of that survey that we did last summer.
Okay, and this is different than what we just approved and stuff, because this is something to go under that grant. It has to be a particular type of quote or engineer to do
Correct.
this. Is there any other questions or discussion?
I-
Do I hear a motion?
Well, what is this gonna, what's the initial cost of putting this together?
Again, we won't know until we have an engineer take a look at the LMI map or the area that we're servicing. The design work is, whatever they come up with. I don't have an idea for you on that. You're going to be in the tens of thousands, though. It won't be $5,000. You're probably in that $60,000 to $80,000 range to design the project.
So are we hiring an engineer with this motion?
No, what you are doing is authorizing us to go out and advertise for qualifications. Those qualifications come back to you as a council, and you'll decide on how you're going to select the engineer. But this is not selecting the engineer, it's simply giving us permission to advertise for it.
I think when we get, because we're hiring a lot of engineers right now, and I'm not saying that one's more important than the other, but I think when we get into the budget process, we may still have to prioritize some of these and maybe can't do something.
Right.
But, because we're putting a lot of stuff out for studies, so I think we just need to be careful when we get into the budget process. So hopefully we have some of this stuff back by then.
Some of this, depending on how quickly the council wants to move on that selection process, some of it will be, not all of it will be. I think the ones that you're going to have the greatest concern about, in my opinion, based on cost, the Southwest Water System, that's a big ticket
It's
item.
going to be a big one.
And the stormwater study is a significant one. Those are not small dollar items. The traffic study is relatively small in the overall scheme of things. The street prioritization, that's pretty small in the overall scheme of things.
Okay. Is there grant money available for that water deal?
There is grant money available for it. Whether it's available for the planning side of it is a big question. There is a state planning and design grant that we could use through the SRF if we so chose.
And that would pay for the engineer?
That would help pay for the engineer. It's not a grant as much as it is a 0% loan until you do your project, and that gets rolled into a larger project. I'm oversimplifying it there, but the engineering design work is not cheap. It can be repaid by or through the CDBG grant, but even at that, they're not paying 100% of the project. They're paying a portion of it. Our contribution is largely on the front end on the design of the project, but we have to design the project before we can submit the grant.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
The federal government said the chicken.
Chicken? They've always got things screwed up.
You're right.
Any other discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Oh, sure.
Motion from Grover, second.
We're not locking ourselves into hiring anybody, are we?
You are not locked into anything at this point other than the advertisement for the RFQs. The only investment you're making on any of these tonight is the advertisement for the RFQ.
I think we're gonna be opening the door, but
I'll
on
second it.
on the other side of the coin, I think that side of town really needs some attention in the water. Every time you turn around, they got water running out in the street somewhere. It's supposed to be in the pipes.
It's supposed to be. We're going to be paying for this valve replacement water system upgrade one way or another. I mean, you don't have a choice on that. What we're trying to do with this is cover a portion of it at least with community development block grant funds. Get some federal dollars to help us offset that. So.
And by passing these items tonight helps you give you permission or is giving you the direction to go out for these quotes for us to get it started.
To get the official responses to you so you can make a decision on where do we go, answering Mike's concern about how much does this, will we have to invest as we get into the budget process? Absolutely.
Okay. So I do have a motion and a second. Gina, if you'd like to read the motion for us?
To seek requests for quotes on the Southwest Water System project.
Okay. No other discussion. We'll have a roll call, please.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is Casey's General Store has given notice that they are closing their store on, is it 2nd Street?
It's the
Second.
one right out here by City Hall, on
Across.
3rd Street.
And so, in doing so, they are requesting to get a refund on their cigarette permit refund, which would be $18.75, and also a refund on their permit for their alcohol. And we don't know what that cost is. That depends on the state as to what they determine.
Yeah, for the state will identify right in the code what your amount will be for refunding cigarette permits, but however, ABD with the liquor licenses, everything goes through them, so they will send us a letter to let us know how much we need to pay them, because it's a split shared cost. They get some of the revenue and so do we. When it comes to cigarette permits, we just get that revenue, so that's why there's a difference.
Okay, so this is just approval to refund.
I'll make a
those things.
motion that we refund it.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I don't wanna see them close, but I'll second it.
Okay.
You think they'll stay open if you don't?
I doubt it.
I don't know where else
I
we're
like
gonna
stopping
get
there
his
for a slice of pizza on the way in here.
Well, they're making the one out on the east, or the west side bigger and remodeling it and stuff, so.
Yeah, but that means I have to remember to stop on my way by.
Oh.
That was just right across the road.
Oh, okay, well, I'm sure you can learn that new behavior. There's no further discussion. Gina, if you'd like to read the motion that we're voting on?
And to approve refund to Casey's General Store for permits and licenses due to the store closure.
Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda, I had a few things I wanted to say. I was hoping that John would be able to complete his last year of his term, but health-wise, he's not going to be able, and he has submitted his resignation for that. I do want to thank John for his commitment to our city and for the time and energy he has shared. He has had ideas over the years, including ICE-T, which is a group that meets on a monthly basis. It includes city, county, schools, different groups and organizations throughout the city. And they share what's going on in each of their different individual things. And I just want to, if John happens to be watching tonight, I want to make sure he knows that we thank him for his services and are sorry to see him go. But the council has on the agenda, and your responsibility is to make a decision as to whether to make an appointment. You have two ways to fill a vacancy. One is to make an appointment, which we have already received I've received 2 letters of people who are interested, and we've had phone calls on others, or whether to have a special election. So that is up to you as a voting council as to which way you want to go with that.
There's only 2 officially in the ground.
I've received 2 letters. But I've had people that have called with interest, but they were waiting to find out which way you guys went, whether you did fill it by an appointment or whether you would like to do a special election on this.
So what's the how many?
The term, actually, his term is just this year, and the person would have to run for election in November, in the general election, to fill the position.
Right.
If you decide to make appointment, the person would only be there until the election time in November. So,
Well, we've heard rumors there's up to 4. Is that true?
We've received inquiries and statements from 4 people who are interested in being appointed. At this point, if you choose to do by appointment, it has to be advertised. I mean, the state prescribes that process, and then you'll have to go through a selection process, whether it be interviews, drawing numbers out of a hat, or names out of a hat, whatever.
Right.
But again, I think the state is pretty clear in state code as to what you can and can't do with the appointment. The appointment ends the day after the general election, as I read the code. If you have a special election, I believe it fills the term and it would go to the end of the year, so you gain, I think, 6 weeks on the total time frame. But again, as far as notice, I wouldn't put a lot of stake into who's expressed interest at this point, because you haven't gone through any of the official
Right.
requirements for notifying the public.
Right.
That number could be 2, it could be 15, I mean, I don't know.
But I think if there's 4, just to be fair, don't you think, I really think we should have a special election.
That's going to come back to however you as a
Yeah,
council want to fill
right.
that vacancy.
But I mean, if you got 4 people, and I know 2 of them are friends of mine, how am I gonna just separate them 2? I mean, I'm gonna be on the short end of one of them, let's put it that way. So I think.
As of tonight, we can't nominate somebody.
No, you cannot, because at this point, the state requires that you declare the vacancy and dictate how it is you're going to fill it. If you're going to do it by appointment, you would make the motion to declare the vacancy and your intent to fill it by appointment. We're required to advertise it and then tell the public, how do you want to be notified of their interest? A letter, an email, will you accept that? Do you want a formal essay? I mean, however elaborate you want to go. But, and you have to determine at what point are you going to require that notice to come back to you as a council so you can make your decision. We can do it in a matter of the 2 weeks that we have before the next council meeting, but that would be the absolute fastest that you could do it, and that would be really rushing it, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm looking at Carter, and can't get it done in 2 weeks, so.
You gotta publish it.
Right.
I guess to not waste a lot of time, the last time we went through the appointment process. Obviously, the voters didn't agree with us. I think we just go to calling for a special election. I would make the motion that we make arrangements to have a special election to fill the second at-large seat.
I'll second it.
Oh, you're gonna second?
Oh, I don't care, Denny. You want
Want arm
to?
wrestle over it?
No, Denny can.
We'll just let Gina pick again. Since she
Denny-
gets two
Denny
names, she
can.
gets to pick which one she puts in the minutes. That's one of her benefits. Is there any further discussion then on this matter? So our motion is to call for a special election, right? We have a motion and a second. I'm assuming you need a roll call on this?
Do I?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. I'll just go down the line.
Okay.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
And I do think that on your thing that Gina had a copy of what the public notice would be. I'm not sure how soon these would get in the paper.
Well, that's the paper, they're both here.
Well, that's why I'm looking at both of them.
Well,
They have to go into the paper.
at this point, yeah, at this point, our obligation is to notify the election clerk, Ms. Gossi, and she will set the date for the special election based on her rules and criteria set out in state code. So really what you've done tonight is notify or inform the city clerk that she is obligated to tell Ms. Gossi that we're going to have a special election.
She'll be proud of us again, won't she?
Absolutely. We'll tell her it's
It
practice
might-
for the
It
agenda.
might be the lesser of all evils to
Tell her it was
actually do
my
a
fault.
special.
I got broad shoulders.
But one thing I think too is important, this is a city-wide seat.
Right.
And this allows everybody in the city to be involved.
Anybody that's a registered voter can actually decide to run for this office in a special election. You already have a position, you don't need another one. You can't have two. You don't get two votes, only one. On occasion, we give you two, but that's
However,
an
Mr.
accident.
Mr. Vaughn is eligible to run for the at-large seat if he so chose, because he's currently in a ward position. If he prefers to be at the at-large, he is eligible.
Trust
then-
me,
but then
we're
he-
wasting our time.
But then he would have to run again in November.
For 1 year, that'd be a good
So-
move, Denny.
Oh, yeah, wouldn't it? A lot
Then-
of strategy
then-
there.
Well, then we'd have to turn around and fill your vacancy.
Lot of
So,
strategy there.
yeah. Okay, if there's no further discussion, we do have a motion and a second to call for a special election.
We already did roll call.
You did, Ruroc, okay, and it passed.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
You were the last to know.
I think I dozed off. I'm still dealing with the fact of John being gone, I'm sorry. Okay, under reports.
Mayor, I would like to ask if John is watching, one thing he wanted for 8 years was, or 7 years, was to be able to hear the council meetings. I hope that he can.
Yes. Yeah, maybe we need some feedback from the community, because we've got new microphones, and we actually have extra ones. There's a microphone for every position, so anybody out there and
Yeah, but you got mine so far away, I can barely see it.
that's because it used to be between the two of them, so you just got to make sure you talk into it.
I'm gonna bring my hammer and drill, fix that.
I don't think we're going to do that.
I will say, as far as these go, I've actually had one of my coworkers say that she can hear us quite well through them.
Yeah. It does require us to sit forward and be talking into them directly or having it pointed at us, so. Are you able to hear everybody speaking tonight, Deb?
Yes.
Okay, because I know at our workshop, you had a little trouble with some of them, but I think we have a better connection and everything today on that, too. So, we do have committees, but I think we need, do we have any committee reports? Because we covered most of that in our workshop and everything. I only see Tim. I have two people, department heads. Tim, would you like to give a report for the street department?
Just keep busy.
You just keep
That was a
busy.
short report.
Yeah. Could have them all come if that's all they're gonna do.
We've been moving our snow.
You gotta come up forward here so the public can hear you. Sorry, Tim.
We like seeing you up there.
Yeah, I like to put you on the spot.
He doesn't have any shorts on.
A little bit cool today. The guys, we've been working between the snowstorms, keeping the streets cleaned off, doing some black topping. building some barricades and starting to trim some trees and stuff, so. just trying to
Definitely
keep busy.
keeping busy. Okay.
Doing our safety classes and stuff, we have all those to get out of the way, and valuations and stuff, so.
Very good. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
You betcha.
Darwin, you have anything for the police department you'd like to get up here and give us a report on? We don't get to see you very often, so you got to come front and center.
I don't know if Chief has showed any of you. Our ballistic vests were voided out in September, and we finally got new ones. This is the one that I have. Captain Brinkema did an excellent job of negotiating with the vendors to get the best deal for the buck. These accessories came at a pretty low price, just because of Captain Brinkema's negotiating skills. One of the other things that we've received here recently is new portable radios. The current ones that we had were obsolete. They no longer made parts for them. Federal government's going to narrow band or change the narrow banding of the frequencies again. So that means there'll be a smaller amount of frequencies that'll be available for public service, because a lot of it's going into private services. So this are our new radios. Those prices were negotiated by Chief Dallenbach and Captain Brinkema, and I believe they were purchased through Raycom, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
Okay?
Just a few other things to note real quick. We've had about, second shift's been pretty busy. As council all knows, I've sent you emails, keep you updated. We've had about 3 busts with and without the K-9 involving narcotics. We have forfeited some cash in each of those cases. And of course, that'll be determined whether or not the courts allow us to have that cash available to us at a later time. Independence Police Department will be host Alice training with the schools on the 16th of January. We'll be training Officer Isley and Chris, his last name fails me, he works with Rick
Emergency management?
Yeah, with emergency management, and they're going to be training the teachers for Alice training. And basically, it's a training program for active shooters. Officer Isley recently attended an instructor's training along with Chris from EMA. The police department has, in the past 6 weeks, has hosted K-9 training at the City of Independence here 4 times. They'll be hosting a K-9 training on the 17th at MHI, which will involve a much larger group of K-9 handlers from across eastern Iowa instead of their normal smaller training group. February 19th, Officer Isley is going to be working with the library on One Book, One Independence, be the mystery theme, and he'll be there as representative of the police department and discussing fingerprints, and I believe they want to possibly fingerprint children in the community as well. The K-9 is put on information programs with adult daycare here in town and a couple of schools here in town, and also was invited out to Pizza to participate for just a little while at a birthday party. I discussed radios. With Parks and Rec, on January 27th, there's going to be a fundraiser, bags tournament fundraiser for the Independence K-9, and I believe that was initiated by Parks and Rec, correct?
Correct.
So that's been set up. I have a flyer here if anyone would like to look at it or participate.
Where's it going to be at?
At Rivers Edge.
Rivers Edge, okay.
Rivers Edge has hosted a bags tournament to support various entities, including our fire department, and they did come up with the K-9 program as well. And It's not a large fundraiser, but it does raise some funds for, these different programs, and it keeps a lot of activity out at the river's edge as well.
They do that in the big room, the big open room? Is that where they usually have it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's you should do it. It's a pretty big, it's a pretty good turnout.
I'm not a
and,
very good
Hey,
player.
the skill range goes all across the spectrum.
Can I go against, well, I can't even go against kids because they could beat
Yeah,
me.
you can, yeah.
No, they could beat me. My own
Get you.
grandkids beat me,
Well,
so,
we'll get you
no.
lined up with it. but it gets people out on these winter nights, and it's a good thing.
Do you do a training for me?
No,
Teach
I'm
me
not
how
very
to do it?
good at it, but
Oh.
I've done it.
I don't think the mayor can do it because the dog will be there.
Oh, yeah, if the dogs are, the dog is there, no, maybe I'll stay home for that one.
It'll be $10 for getting you out of the,
I'll make a donation, if that helps. Just to not have to be around the dog.
I'm in charge this week. Dallenbach's on vacation on some cruise down south, I'm told. So hope he enjoys the warmer weather than what we're enjoying here. So,
did I hear that right? You're in charge?
well,
I better behave.
reluctantly, I'm in charge.
You're doing a good job.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think, I didn't miss anybody else, did I? Hiding behind the Shane? Okay. Since we have a little different setup in the seating, I'm going to start with you, Don. Do you have anything that you would like to
Nothing.
share for any report? Okay. Austin?
Well, I just got informed today that starting February 6th through April 28th, I will be working out of town. Luckily, it's over in Cedar Falls, helping their store with the remodel, and I'll be doing 7 to 4, so I should still make all our council meetings without a problem. Just wanted to make everyone aware.
Okay. Anything else?
That is it.
All righty. Denny?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Mike?
Nothing.
You just hope you get better.
Yep.
Bob?
I don't have anything.
But you're feeling better.
I'm better.
Good, good. Deb, do you have anything you'd like to report tonight?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody for letting me sit down electronically is all.
Okay. Weather good down there?
It's been wonderful.
Okay. Gina, do you have anything? Now you have some visitors here.
Yeah. Today the state auditors arrived. They'll be here for all of this week, and I'm expecting them probably to come back next week to do some of their finish up. And we also received a phone call this morning from our IRS auditor, Ryan, and he is sending us a third request for some more information before he makes his findings. So that is what our office is going to be up to besides the budget.
Besides all the first of the year stuff and end of the year stuff.
Yep.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Al, do you have anything?
A couple of items. Remind you that next Monday at 6:30, we have our budget workshop for operating budget. Our goal is, the staff is meeting tomorrow morning to try and work through some of the details of the budget and have it to you by the end of this week so you can take a look at it before Monday's budget workshop. We are working on a TIF workshop the end of this month. Tentatively, the 26th of January is what it looks like right now. It'll be about a 3-hour presentation, depending on what we're able to work out, but that's what we're trying to set up. Gina's been working on that for about 6 weeks now, trying to tie down John Danis from our bond counsel. And it's focused really on TIF, and I think it's timely for our budget process and some of our discussions. That will be open to communities regionally, as I understand it, so it's not just us, but we'll let you know more as we get that ironed out between now and hopefully next week.
I'm hopefully speaking with him tomorrow.
Okay.
And I think that's our big items for this week.
Okay. I did put at each one of your seats my committee appointments. I had you guys give me your first, second, and third choices, and I tried to meet all of those. Bob has agreed to stay on as mayor pro tem for this last year. Deb, I will have, Gina is going to try and make a copy of this and send it to you via email So
Okay.
I already responded to you that you are in the Finance Committee, but she will send you so you know who's on what committees and that type of thing. I also have a proclamation that was sent to me. January is Mentor Month. So the proclamation is, whereas National Mentoring Month is a time we honor the caring individuals across the City of Independence who are committed to helping the next generation of Americans reach their full potential. Whereas a mentor is a caring, consistent presence who devotes time to a young person to help that young person discover personal strength and achieve their potential through a structured and trusting relationship. Whereas the quality mentoring encourages positive choices, promotes self-esteem, supports academic achievement, and introduces young people to new ideas. Whereas mentoring programs have shown to be effective in combating school violence and discipline problems, substance abuse, incarceration, and truancy. Whereas research shows that young people who were at risk for not completing high school but who had a mentor were 55% more likely to be enrolled in college, 81% more likely to report participating regularly in sports and extracurricular activities, more than twice as likely to say that they held a leadership position in a club or sports team, and 78% more likely to volunteer regularly in their communities. Wow. Whereas youth development experts agree that mentoring is critical to the social, emotional, and cognitive development of youth, helping them navigate the path to adulthood more successfully. Whereas mentors help young people set career goals and use their personal context to help young people meet industry professionals and find jobs. Whereas all of the above listed benefits serve to link youth to economic opportunity while also strengthening the fiber of our communities. Whereas despite these benefits, 1 in 3 youth will reach age 19 without a mentor, constituting a mentoring gap that demonstrates a need for collaboration and resources. Whereas the City of Independence appreciates the contributions of all those who serve as mentors and the Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Northeast Iowa and Independence Community Schools Mustang Mentoring for bringing our certified mentoring programs to the City of Independence for all of us to benefit from. Now therefore, I, Bonita Davis, Mayor of the City of Independence, Iowa, do hereby declare in the City of Independence, January 2017 as National Mentoring Month, and call upon public officials, business and community leaders, and educators, and encourage all independent citizens to observe this month with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. In witness whereof, I have unto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Independence to be affixed on this 9th day of January 2017. I have been a member. It is an awesome experience, both for the mentor and the mentee, so I recommend any of you, if you have the opportunity to get involved, to do so. My last thing that I have on the agenda is that we're supposed to be doing city managers evaluations. I've only received 2 back from the council that was supposed to be here by today.
Did I?
I haven't seen yours. Did you send yours?
I don't think I ever got it.
It was
It's on Board Docs.
It was on Board Docs last month, in December, I think.
Yeah, I think it was like the first meeting in December,
Yeah.
because we only had one official regular meeting.
Deb actually gave me hers before she left town, and John gave me his when he gave us his notice.
You don't have anything for the rest of us?
You actually
fair,
each,
I have
you
mine.
each have to do your,
You do not.
I do, I have it done.
Oh, Austin.
I
will
haven't,
bring
I
it in
haven't
tomorrow
finished
morning.
mine yet either, but you need to get them in as soon as you can, because I need to set up a committee to actually go over those. Bob, do you still have this on your computer to be able to write these up? And so, as I get those, then I will call and we'll get a committee together to actually do those, because actually this is supposed to be on our second meeting in January to actually go over this with Al on his evaluation, so.
Can you send out another?
Can you do this in Icefish at the same time?
I'll figure out a way.
I know you get it done. So I'm just reminding you of that you need to have those into me if you
Do you have a
can.
copy of it I can take tonight?
I can print
A hard
them off.
copy? I could use a hard copy.
She sent me it as a Word
I
Word
know, but
thing. and I
It'll
did
help
that.
me, if she gives me a hard
Oh.
copy.
Just make sure your handwriting legible for whoever's on your committee to tally the scores. That'll be helpful.
Circling the numbers isn't as hard, but any comments that you make on it, sometimes we have a hard time getting those figured out. So once I get all of them, then I will set a committee. I'm going to ask Bob to be on it because he's the one that has it on his computer and can get it done at the same time. So we'll see if any of you are really just can hardly wait to be on that committee and go over that.
More punishment, Bob.
You did it last year.
I did?
Yes, you did. You don't remember? Oh, well, you did.
Alzheimer's.
And just my last statement is that this is my last year of this term as mayor, and my goal is to have it as to be one of the best year I have and enjoy it, and that's why I've made some of these changes. I hope that you're all agreeing with it, and I hope the public gets to know the council members better by being able to see them better. So anything against Carter or Gina or Al, put him on the end, but I just
You
thought they.
skipped him for reports, by the way.
Oh, I did. Well, I'm leaving the best for last. I put him in the best seat. He's got a seat next to Gina and protection from the police department, so he couldn't be doing any better.
Why would an attorney need protection?
I don't know. Well, I do have a lot of reasons for that.
Maybe I should wear that vest next time.
He had it available. So I will let you give us your report.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't have anything official to say other than Happy New Year to the council and you, Mayor, and Gina and Al, and everyone in all the citizens here and all the staff, and even the newspaper guys. And I look forward to serving you this year.
Okay. If nobody else has anything, then I would ask for a motion for adjournment.
You got one?
I'll second.
Danny, second from Austin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the
Aye.
same. Thank you, Deb. Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Want to hang around